Hello and good evening, and welcome to the show. Hemingway Jones Live, as I often am every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Nice to see you all. And if you like this kind of content, please subscribe. I'd love to have you along on this journey and to see where we all go together. So consider subscribing. Love to have you. And if you want to get more involved in supporting the channel, join. Memberships available as well. Love to have some new members. We have great people in this channel. The best part of this channel is the community of people who support it and watch. So I appreciate each and every one of you. Many of whom, the members, are here this evening. I see many of the usual suspects here in the comments. Hello, everyone. I see John Manuel, the legendary John Manuel. How are you, sir? Jillian Barr's here. Very good. Gino and Lad Gardner already with the generous donation of $25. Thank you very much, sir. Also, let me mention something about our laddie. Our laddie has some great handwriting. I wish I could show you, but it's full of our contact information, or I'd show you, but he has some exceptional handwriting. He's doing fantastic. He's using a different technique in holding his pen with a flex nib. He's using a hook grip, and it's working out really great for him. And he's also a very generous guy. He supports the channel in many ways. Laddie, thank you. You know I love you. You're my brother. I appreciate it. Thank you. Kirk Geisinger's here. Always a pleasure. Wendell Booth. Wendell, how are you? Judy Anderson. Hi, Judy. Always a pleasure to see you. Simply Obbs, who's been here forever. I'd say he's been in the trenches with me forever, but I think he helped me dig the trench. That's how long he's been here. So nice to see you. Allie J, the paper folder. She does these incredible origami things with paper. She can take a piece of paper and make it any size she wants in a beautiful geometric pattern. Lovely. Beautiful stuff. So, lots of things going on. Lots of fun today. Lots of things to speak about. Got some beautiful fan art. I don't know if fan art. I'm not comfortable with the term fan art. I don't know if you guys ever noticed, but there's certain terms I'm not comfortable with. I don't use. It's not fan art. You guys are viewers. You're not fans. You're viewers. And I want to make that distinction. I also don't use the term follower because I don't know. I just think it has kind of a negative connotation. You guys are subscribers and viewers, and you appreciate you all participate in this community equally with me. I'm not in charge of it either. It's got a life of its own, ladies and gentlemen, and that's the way I prefer it. So very good stuff. Nice to see you all here. So yes, I was telling you what we're doing. So some lovely fan art to share with you. I also got a really neat pen in the mail from the lovely and generous and warm Waski Squirrel. Just a fantastic guy. Sent a pen, a nice little letter. Waski has a squirrel wax seal, as he should. He should have a squirrel wax seal. And it's perfect, and it's beautiful, and I was very happy to see that. And he sent a very nice pen over, and I feel like it's something we should share because it relates to a lot of the plot lines of this channel. So it's a flex nib. So it fits into the flex nib discussion. So I think you guys will appreciate that too. And I also want to mention some journaling tips. I'm working on a video on journaling, and I wanted to share some of the ideas that are coming up as I form them, because it's going to be a very directed toward better mental health and how to kind of get that monster in check, that demon that plagues us all, even if it's not as serious as depression as it is for me at times, even if it's just something that hinders you, holds you back, maybe makes you procrastinate and holds you back from your fullest potential, or something that goes truly to the level where it's affecting your composure. So we're going to speak a little bit about that because it's very important. That's important stuff. That's one of my favorite things on the channel. Early though, I'd like to put a plug in for myself and the video that's coming out this Thursday. I've been releasing videos now on Thursdays because I think everybody's gone on Friday, and I feel like they were getting a little lost in the shuffle, and I feel like they're doing a lot better since I put them out on Thursdays. So what's coming up this Thursday? I'll look because I'm not sure myself. But okay, it's actually a fantastic one. This is a really good one. I always get excited when I think it's a really good one. And there's times when I kind of rank my own videos where I'm like, that one's okay. This one is like great. And then, this one is pretty up there. This is tops coming up. It's the top 5 fountain pens for preppies, which I feel like I am uniquely qualified to speak about. I've kind of fallen into that preppy category since 1985. So I definitely have the old school cred to go with that one. Plus, it's just fun. It's fun to do the aesthetic videos and the different categories and which pens are good for them. And everybody loves a list. I love lists. I love making lists. A lot of my journals are me making lists. But this video is super fun. It's the top 5 fountain pens for preppies that I own. And I think you guys will really appreciate it. There's sort of a theme now going from July to September. There's a lot of back to school stuff coming up. A lot of academia stuff coming up. So I'm just going to quickly tell you what's coming up. So top 5 fountain pens for preppies this week. Then next week is a glorious video. I'm so immodest. Just forgive me for my self-indulgence, okay? But I am so proud of the video that's airing next Thursday. That is on the Kaweco Bronze Sport. Thanks for the likes, guys. I appreciate that. I see them flying up the screen. Thank you. The Kaweco Bronze Sport review, and it was filmed at the Met and around New York City. I think you guys are really going to dig it. Those of you that like my high concept stuff, I think you will exceptionally enjoy this one. It's called the Bronze Age. I think you'll like it. That's coming up. And then what do you think's after the Bronze Age? I know a lot of you are really excited for this next one that's coming up after the Bronze Age. And that is 5 more pens for dark academia. So that's going to be epic. It's 20 minutes long. It's one of my more epic videos, if you will. It's 5 more fountain pens for dark academia, plus 5 ways to incorporate that lifestyle into you. So some things you can do to kind of get into scholarship and study and that sort of romantic, gothic, intellectual darkness. So I think you'll enjoy that. I certainly enjoyed filming it. Once again, filmed at the Met, filmed at the Museum of Natural History, filmed at the Morgan Library, all around New York City. Has one of the coolest ending credits I've ever done. I think you're going to enjoy it. So after that are my top 5 plus 1 fountain pens for back to school. This is also a nice sort of primer for affordable fountain pens, but the emphasis is top 5 plus 1 fountain pens for back to school. Now you may ask yourself, Hemingway, why not 6? Why not 6? It's 5 plus 1. Why not 6? Because 6 would be boring. So it's top 5 plus 1. It could have been 5.5, but it's a full pen, so it deserved a spot. So it's 5 plus 1 for back to school. Then after that is an ode to the Mont Blanc Egyptomania. So that's the lineup. It's sort of like a preview of this coming season. So it's a good time to subscribe. It's a good time to get on board so you don't miss anything. I think there's that notification bell. Make sure you hit that. I don't even know where it is, but find it and hit it, because that's the programming that's coming up. And then I have working on this one on journaling that'll be coming up. I'm also working one on the most beautiful nibs. That's coming up. So lots of fun stuff. Lots of good stuff. Wolf Kate Witch says, I'm at school all year round. Back to school means nothing to her. She's there all the time. It's still a fun video. I think you'll enjoy it. I do. Kaylee, back to school is always good. Agreed. I did one last year. It's always fun. It's always fun to get into that. Okay, so let me get into one of our topics, and that is this lovely art that a viewer did for the channel, which is really amazing. And I put his email in the description. So if you'd like to have one of these for yourself, reach out. He does portraits. He does architecture. Pretty sure he can do just about anything. Now, I'm sure there's a technique to this. I don't know how he does it, but it's rather brilliant. And he does it with fountain pen. So it makes it that much more fun. So these are fountain pen drawings in ink of yours truly. Yours truly. How's the likeness? Yeah, pretty good, right? It's got an interesting strokes to it. Do you see that? Very cool. Has the crocodile on my polo shirts. I mean, this was taken from one of our lives, I would think. Might have been nice if he took the gray out of my hair, but what can you do? I think it's rather lovely. I think he did a fantastic job. Actually, it's kind of an older one because it's my old glasses. You see, I have my new glasses have the little silver there, and this does not appear to have that. So it was taken from a bit ago, but still, fantastic work. From back here, it's even more photorealistic. Look at that. So Ian Moore, talented chap, sent this. Unsolicited. It was his idea. So, and then he did another one. Put it safely behind me because I have water and stuff and being very careful. So this is like an ensemble, a rogues gallery. So this is Tom Odo, as I'm sure you know. Lovely chap. We know who this fellow is. And Penboy Roy in all of his glory. So pretty fantastic, right? Took this from the interview that Penboy Roy did of me on his channel. So go over to Penboy's channel and check that out if you haven't. I went very deep on that one. Said things I didn't think I'd say. So, surprised myself. And if you want to get a nice close-up look, it's backward, at Penboy Roy, he will be on this channel on August 15th. We will have a nice discussion. So there you go. What do you guys think? Pretty nice, right? So Ian Moore, if you want something done of yourself, I'm sure you could send him a pic, and he will do it for you. Absolutely brilliant. It's good stuff, right? Let me see. I'm going to look at some of your comments. Some of your comments, yes. I still need to watch the Penboy Roy interview. Yes, you do. And I'll tell you why. I feel like you get a different perspective. You get a different side of me. I ended up speaking about things I didn't think I would. So that's always fun. So it's good to check out his channel. That's a motley crew. Indeed it is, Jimmy Britt. Indeed we are. Wolf Kate Witch just watched it. Brilliant. Thanks so much. I hope you enjoyed it. Paul Bright says, good job. Almost looked like it was painted. Yeah, he did a fantastic job. Very, very nice. Julian Barr says, makes you look like you might be a cousin of Harrison Ford. There are weird times. I use that age filter. Do you know the filter on TikTok that makes you look old? I used that with my glasses off, and it made me look like old Indiana Jones with no eyes. Because you guys know I have, like, no eyes. I mean, they're in there somewhere. But if I had eyes, I probably would look like Harrison Ford. Because we have the same kind of nose and general squishy face. So, but he has the advantage of having eyes. So, there is that. But I will be doing a video on Indiana Jones soon, too. I'm not sure where. It's going to be counter-programming because it doesn't really fit in with this channel. But it's going to be all on what makes an Indiana Jones hat an Indiana Jones hat. I might get into the Indiana Jones jacket a bit. I knew a lot of the people that made them for the movies. The guy who made the hats for the fourth film. The gentleman who made the jacket and basically designed it for Harrison Ford. Well, I don't think he designed it. I think the costume designer designed it. I think he just stitched it. But that's still huge. So he was a lovely guy. We'll get into that story, though, in the video. So that's good stuff. Danny G says, no thanks on Penboy Roy. Too much unnecessary vulgarities. Well, there weren't any. I don't think there were any when we spoke. So, and I don't know. Unnecessary, necessary. Sometimes they're necessary. If you watch my blooper reels, you'd see when they're necessary. But hey, each is his own, Danny. So, I respect your opinion there. But I think the only person that said anything at all vulgar-ish was me. I used one light word, and I can't remember what it was. And it was in regards to myself, I'm pretty sure. But anyway. HJ, did you get Indy's replica journal, Wolf Kate Witch? A long time ago, I made a Grail journal, like his dad's. And I copied the different pages, and I did the different drawings. And I did it in a nice leather journal, had the map to the Valley of the Crescent Moon, and all of that. The knight taking the step of faith, the leap of faith. And I did the whole thing. I was very proud of it. And then I gave it to a dear friend of mine who's really into Indiana Jones too. He's also into fountain pens. Really lovely chap. So I did have, but have since passed it on. So it was super fun. All right. Should we get into another topic? I think so. Maybe before, a little update on my Vista. You guys remember the Lamy Vista I picked up in New York? Well, I finally took off the price tag. So it's now a lovely pen. I also ordered a converter, which hasn't arrived, but I'm excited for it. And I switched out the nib. So it has the Lamy Calligraphy nib on it, which is my favorite Lamy nib. I ditched the medium. It was fine, but it was boring. So the Calligraphy nib is much more exciting. So I really like it. I actually like it without the price tag because you're very much aware of its transparency now. So quite nice pen. I should probably do something on this soon. I think I put in one of my lists, but I should probably do a standalone video soon. One of the things I really like about it, by the way, is how it says Lamy in like chrome. Do you see that? Look at that. Super fun, right? So this has Lamy's calligraphy nib, which I'm super excited about. You know what else has a calligraphy nib on it? You might sense a theme. the Kaweco Bronze Sport Bronze. The pen of bronze. So I put a calligraphy nib on this too. Love it. Absolutely adore it. Love this material. Look at this. Look how it holds the light. All because Adventure Denali held it up. And it had this ethereal light. And I had to have it. Now I have it. Now I have it. Why borrow it? The calligraphy is one that would come on the Lamy Joy, the big stubs. I think the Lamy Joy, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. I'm not an expert on the Lamy Joy, but I do have one. I do have one right here. I believe it comes in 2 different sizes. So the one I prefer is the 1.1. It also comes in a 1.5. But that's a bit wide for me. One of the things I really like about the way Lamy cuts those nibs is the feel to me feels very straight-sided. It feels very sharp, almost like an italic. And I don't want to say the word sharp like you think it's scratchy. I just mean in the sense that it cuts a beautiful, well-defined line straight down that's thick and dramatic, but thinner than something like a Twisby stub. So it's really nice for some finer writing. So 1.1, I have it on my Mango, Lamy Safari, and on the Vista. And it's brilliant. I love it. Brilliant. Wildbred says, it also comes with a 1.9. I don't know about that. If it does, that is crazy wide, and I respect anyone who writes at 1.9. Kurt says it as well. So yeah, 1.9 would be brilliant if you want to do Gothic ledgers. I bet that's what you would use. So very cool. Very cool indeed. Big Shiba 1. What's the difference between a stub nib and a calligraphy nib? Newbie here. The difference is marketing. One of the things I learned when I was over at TikTok is if a company calls something a thing, then it's best as someone who's on the internet to call it that thing, because it makes it a lot easier for people to find it. So Lamy calls that 1.1 stub nib a calligraphy nib. And sometimes I qualify that. Sometimes I say Lamy's 1.1 stub, their calligraphy nib. But it's really, tomato, but it's how they choose to market it. So if you Google Lamy calligraphy nib, the choices will come up. And you can just choose the 1.1 if you want that nib. I'll show you shortly how it writes, and you can decide if that's nice and something you like. Kaweco does the same thing. They use that language, calligraphy nib. So Mont Blanc uses it differently. They use the language calligraphy nib too when they're referring to an extra fine flex nib. So it can get confusing. But what it really is brand marketing. It sounds more romantic, I think, calligraphy nib. So I hope that answers the question. Ooh, Terry Edginton brings up the fact that Pilot makes a 1 stub. Yeah, that's brilliant. Do I have a Pilot stub? I don't think I do. I probably should. Okay. Let's show you how it writes. And then I'll share a lovely gift from the very talented and generous Waski Squirrel. But first, let's show the Lamy, shall we? And we'll show the Kaweco too. Let's get into a little discussion on calligraphy nibs from our German pen producers. I'd say favorite. Maybe they're not your favorite. Maybe Pelikan and Mont Blanc are. But they're pretty darn good, aren't they? Let's get a little light over here, shall we? Okay. You see that nice downstroke there? Look at that. That's nice, right? Oh, you know what? I just noticed there's dots on this paper. Nice scribing noise. I always enjoy that. By the way, I turned off the air conditioning so that it would have better sound quality. So I want you to know I'm suffering for you and for our art. Because it's pretty humid here. It's Massachusetts, but it still is. So look at that. What do you think of that? I think it's nice. I think it's very nice. But let me write one more line. Okay. So, gives you an idea. There's no flex in this nib. There's no bounce. It's just a nice steel, sort of straight-sided cut nib. I wish I had a macro lens, but this doesn't like to focus very close. I'd show you. But it's still nice. It's very nice. You get nice line variation, get some nice expression, but it's not too wide, and that's what I like about it. So let's contrast it with the Kaweco, shall we? Why not? Why not? By the way, look at this, huh? I get seduced by aesthetics. This pen is so beautiful. You can see the grain in it. It's also a bit resonant. I don't know if you can hear it, but it like rings a little. Do you hear that? It rings, almost like a little bell. So precious. So striking. Look at that. Okay. Let's write with it. Let's stop waxing poetic and write. Write. Why don't you? I'm trying to remember which ink I have in here. I think it's the Profound Blue by J. Urban. In case you want this dramatic style for yourself. The Lamy Vista still has the Lamy blue cartridge that came with it. Let's do the signature, shall we? This nib has a bit of sort of softness to it, but it's more structural. It's not in the nib, it's more in how it's placed in the feed. Gives it a little bit of softness, but still no flex. But you can see, I'm going to try to be really disciplined here. You can see some like... the downstrokes are definitely bigger than the upstrokes. So that's what's fun about it. So very, very lovely pen. Very, very lovely. Let me see what you guys have to say. Laddie Gardner says the Kaweco... Oh, I put Kaylee's up. Sorry. Laddie says... The Kaweco produces a much sharper line. Really nice, T-Man. Thanks, brother. It does. It's a bit... It feels a bit wider, which is interesting because they are, I believe, the same size. But since I have no eyes, I have to use this. So let me see. Yeah. So they're both 1.1 stubs, but the Kaweco feels sharper. Yeah. Wider, certainly. Certainly wider. So, for some reason, the Lamy feels a bit more narrow. But still nice. Wolf Key Witch is a fan. It's very good. John Manuel asks, what size is the nib? These are both 1.1 stubbies. 1.1 calligraphy nibs from Lamy and from Kaweco. But even with that, they feel very different, which is so funny. So funny. So... here's another Kaweco, the iridescent pearl, that my wife has called dibs on. So I'm going to show it to you because I'm not going to own it for much longer. So I'm sure it's going to disappear from my desk very soon. All right, so let's plug somebody else's channel, shall we? Waski Squirrel's an absolutely lovely, generous guy. We speak quite often through private messages on different apps and whatnot. And he comments, and it's always nice. I catch up on his stuff on his channel as well, as should you. Why not? He's a lovely guy. Lad Gardner asks, which feels better in hand? The Kaweco Bronze is heavier, and the Vista is very light, which makes it fun. But if I had to choose between the two, I would pick the Kaweco. It's just an interesting nib combination, a perfect pen. I wish I could... I might learn how to coat it with gold, because it would be super fun if it was gold color and just blend it in. So, LEJ also succumbed to the pearl, yes. Okay. Smim says... my Lamy 1.1 feels like a cursive italic. It does feel a little bit like a cursive italic until you try their cursive italic nib, and then it feels a little different. I mean, that's like that is a cursive italic, right? That is almost like having it but slanted. Very fun to write with too. So okay, so Waski contacted me and said, I know you've been on this quest for flex nibs, and I think you guys know that one of my favorite flex nibs is this one, the Waterman 5 in its original box. This guy is a beast. I love this pen. I use it all the time. It's really risen in my favorites. Since I'm here, you're here, we're having a nice time. Let's see a little bit of what it can do, shall we? So this is the mighty. That should have been, I should have pulled that down, but oh well. mighty Waterman 5. Whoops. A little bit of schmutz on the page. So what's nice about this is that it rarely gets tired. It's pretty wet. It just goes. Look at that. Really tough to find a modern flex pen that'll go that long. Plus it's fun to do W's with. Oh, railroad. He's gone too far. He's gone too far, ladies and gentlemen. But you just fill it in when it railroads. There's no reason to get carried away. Plus, I went a little far. Okay, so this is one of my favorites. So, Waski Squirrel was saying, have you tried one of the vintage Bach nibs? This, of course, is an ideal nib. From this pen, it's hard to tell when this pen is from. I'm going to guess 1930s, but it had a pretty long production run. So Waski said, I have a Senator. That's what this is. A Senator pen. He wasn't sure if it was 60s or 70s with a Bach flex nib. And he said, in your flex search, why don't you give it a shot? And he says, I'm sending it as a gift, which was really lovely. What I like about this is it has a great twisty fill system. So I don't know if it's a captive converter. I'm going to guess it's an internal piston fill. I didn't do any research on this. I just got it. But what was funny is when I took this off, I thought it was a button fill. But it had this twisty. So I filled it that way. And let's open it up. It's screw. I'm trying to remember if it had an ink view window. Can't remember now. The Waterman 5, of course, is a lever fill. So I put ink in here. I used Meiji no Iro, which Brendan Schmidt sent me from Atlas Stationers. So this is a super fun pen. So Now I'm writing at a really strange angle here, so don't blame the pen. I'll tell you when it's the pen. That first stroke was because I'm writing sideways. I don't know if you guys can tell. So some pretty nice line variation here. It gets harder for me to write as we get across the page because of this weird angle. My paper is probably maybe 8 to 10 inches further away from me than it normally would be, and I'm writing from this side. So if I were to go over, I'd be like this. This is where it feels comfortable. I probably should write like this. Look at this. All right, let me see if I can switch this stuff up a little bit. Just get a little bit more comfortable. I'm really off the line there. Lovely scribing noise. Very nice. The only bad thing is that I find it tends to oh, Waski's here. How are you, sir? Thank you very much. Very kind of you. I was just telling everyone how generous and lovely of you it was for you to pass this along to me. So thank you. I'm trying to show it, but I don't know if I'm showing it in its best light, but we're trying. Let's get some fresh paper, shall we? I'll use the bag. This is Rhodia, by the way. We're using some Rhodia paper. So pretty nice, really nice. It's in that neighborhood with the ideals. And I'm sure it's a lot less expensive than an ideal nib. Let's set this down a sec and pull out the Waterman 5. I'll shut this in case it dries a little next time we go to use it. Railroading on me a bit. That can also happen when you get low in ink. But it can also happen when you're writing sideways, as I am. Trying to get the right posture here. Filming is not easy, even when I'm filming for my videos. Unless you go like right above, it's a challenge. But you can clearly see these guys are evenly matched in performance. It actually, the Waterman looks a little crummy in comparison tonight. But it doesn't usually do that. I probably should have filled them both up before we started. But I do really like this one. I also like this Meiji no Iro ink. It's pretty great. You only see the green after it dries a bit. Can you tell? It's a bit green. So I really think this is a perfect option for those of you looking for some fantastic flax. Especially if you actually know what you're doing. So pretty fun. Pretty awesome, really. One thing might be fun is to grab this bad boy. Let's see how it compares to this. Shall we? This is a lot of fun too. This nib has really loosened up. It was very stiff when I first got it. It has really, it's gone soft on me, but in a good way. Super fun. Super fun. So, the difference between all of these. The softest is still the Waterman. This thing is like a brush. Oh, why it keeps... I'm curious how much ink is in here. I'm going to grab the ink. Hold on. I keep this handy. So let's see what happens, shall we? We're going to do the dirtiest fill you've ever seen in your life. Can't really see. There we go. It's thirsty. I don't think there's a lot of ink in this bottle, so let's hope for the best. Okay, that was ugly, but it's close enough for rock and roll, okay? Close enough. You ever have an ink that doesn't like a certain pen? That happens sometimes too. Where it works great in a lot of other pens, but not a certain one. It's like you have to kind of match them. There we go. See, it's acting a bit more like itself now. So this one is the softest, the Waterman 5, but it doesn't have the widest line variation. It almost feels like maybe a fine going to double broad. Whereas the Mont Blanc is definitely extra fine to broad. Because you can do some like needle work with this. Like that. And then go pretty nice on the downstroke. See, that's pretty nice. Imagine if I had talent. Okay. So this one's giving you a lot of line variation. The Senator is also pretty wispy and then gets rather wide on the down. So it's really kind of like a nice combination of the two. Oops. The only issue I've had is like if I'm flexing it a lot. I wrote a couple letters to Illuminati and Cognoscenti members with this pen. And when I was flexing it a ton, it did railroad a bit. But, I mean, that can happen with any pen. And I don't really care. I just fill it in. But it's really nice. And it was very generous. Thank you, Jason. You're the man. I really appreciate it. I'll cherish this, and I'll cherish our friendship. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Very kind. So, brilliant pen. Need a little water. It's so hot in here, guys. I should never have turned off the air conditioner. Don't ever let me do that again. Don't ever let me do that again. I may pass out before this is over. Heat is my kryptonite. Let me see what you guys have to say in the comments. 30-year-old pens are pretty modern in terms of construction, function, etc. Yeah. Mummy Brown. Hey, Mummy Brown. How are you? Nice to see you back. Oh, yeah, I have the Fountain Pen Revolution nib on other pens. The nibs are fantastic, but their pen bodies not so much. You also ever notice they kind of smell a little stinky, those pens? But yes, I like the Fountain Pen Revolution. I'm a big fan. Big fan. Wow. Pen Xer's favorite flex is the Pilot FA. I really don't like that nib. But I'm glad you enjoy it. I'd love for you to try one of these. Have you tried one of these? I wish you were here. I'd love for you to try the Mont Blanc or the Senator or the Waterman 5. Or if you ever try a Waterman 52.5, that's even more like a paintbrush. Vintage Flex has it all over modern, but there's some good ones still. Still some good ones. All right. So I did promise to talk a bit about journaling. And journaling is curious, right? Because I use it in so many different ways. It's a repository for all my memories. It's a workbook for all ideas that I'm working on, any sort of argument that I want to support. If I'm working on something that has to do with my idea of morality or philosophy or anything in my life, I'm going to hash it out in my journal. It's also a way for me to keep my composure, to explore the depths of my personality, to roam my vast internal emotional landscape. I'm a pioneer, an explorer within my own self. And I think that all of these are very valuable uses and methods to journal. And any kind of journaling you do, I fully support. If you're writing, you're expressing yourself, and you're enjoying yourself, then I am a fan. My ink is upside down. I have to check it. Yep, it's correct. All right, good. I was afraid I'd put my ink bottle upside down. So, how do you get from point A, where you're a average person, as we all are, with foibles and challenges, into something a little more advanced where you have control over some of those things that are pulling you back, holding you back from your fullest potential, whether it's depression in its most extreme form, or even something that's closer to procrastination or internal negative monologues that you want to work on. How do you get there? Well, I would say that there's a lot of different ways. I think that the most important thing is to write. And people often ask me, what do I write? Like, what do I write? Or not like, what do I write, but what should they write? And my advice is to meet the challenge of a blank page with an expression of yourself. Go in and just bare your soul to yourself. Talk about how you feel and where you are, how you feel about your life, and your goals, your dreams, your past, and all of that. Make it almost a declaration of who you are in that moment. And just let the words flow. What you want to do is set aside that internal self-auditing voice that criticizes us all, and let your expressive self go. Almost like your pen becomes a planchette that's racing across an Ouija board. But in this case, it's describing who you are in that moment. You get a nice snapshot, and that's very valuable. And then maybe your subsequent entries are more biographical. What you've done, where you want to go on vacation, a packing list for next month when you're heading off to New Orleans, or something you did, your granddaughter's recital, or your son's big promotion, something along those lines. Then maybe 3-4 days later, maybe a week later, whatever it is, you revisit it. And once again, you write that snapshot, who I am, what I believe, and where I am. And this is where I always use this phrase. You guys have heard me before. It's the power of, is it me? What have I done wrong? Without being negative on yourself, but just with taking responsibility and thinking that maybe a lot of what you've believed up until this point about yourself, your own potential, is erroneous because your internal monologues are feeding you garbage. So what you want to do is you want to start changing that. You want to take control back from yourself, by yourself. You want to take it away from your internal monologues and sort of arrive at a truer version of yourself. How I did that was I kept doing those kind of snapshots and I listened to what I was saying. There were certain things in my life that I kept repeating, mostly about safety and about productivity and expression. And these were themes that kept coming up. And it's sort of unrequited. So it needed a response. It needed an answer. And then I considered all those internal negative tendencies where I would tell myself something to counter it. So, for instance, I've always wanted to publish a book. I still haven't. I need to get on that. I do work on it. I have written one book. I didn't publish it. So I know I'm capable of doing it. So I'm working on another one. The negative voices say stuff like, you're too old to publish a book. Nobody would publish a book. Or anybody who publishes books is already in publishing. You're not going to be able to do it. Well, I mean, I write articles, so technically I'm already in publishing. So, but that's the kind of voice you want to extricate from your activities. So you're sort of describing your demon as close as you can and trying to nail it down to take power away from it and to get to your truer internal monologues that simply says, I want to express myself. I want to connect with a lot of people. I want to write a book. I want to start a YouTube channel. I want to form a great community of people where I can do letter exchanges and talk to every Tuesday night live. Whatever it is. So that is my process for journaling and how I move ahead. Oh, hey, Kurt with a super chat for $10. Thank you, Kurt. Very kind. Helps to keep the lights on. Thank you. I really appreciate that. So my struggle now, and this is a very literal struggle, is trying to put all that into an interesting video. And that's what I've been trying to write. I want to give you guys real interesting strategies to journal for yourself and to kind of reach your highest potential too. Just like me. A weekend of critical thinking will dispel a lifetime of dogma. And it all starts by asking yourself, is it me? Could I be wrong? Then use your logic and your rationale to question everything and get back to who you were and are when you were gentle before the world nudged you into cynicism and negativity. You got to pull that back. And this isn't self-help. This is the opposite of like self-help. This isn't soft. This is hard. This is hard work that takes years to dispel some of these notions. Dispel the negative voices. The notions are easy to get rid of, but to believe them takes longer, to believe in yourself. So there you go. That's my 2 cents on journaling. You'll see a video along those lines, but I wanted to kind of hash out the themes with you all this evening and see what you think of that. I need more water. I'm going to listen to Waski and never turn the AC off again. So thank you, Kurt. Very, very kind. Thank you, Laddie, also for the super chats. Those are much appreciated. And thank you guys for all the likes too. That helps. I do appreciate it. So we covered a lot this evening, guys. So we got a great video coming out on Thursday on the top 5 fountain pens for preppies. So I hope you'll join me then for that. That is super fun. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, I believe we are at the end of a long journey. Thank you so much for following along. If you've reached this point and you haven't subscribed, please, what are you waiting for? Join the channel. We're doing great things. Got a wonderful community of people here. So it would be very, very nice to have you along. So everyone else, always a pleasure to spend part of my Tuesday nights with you all. And to Waski Squirrel, thank you, my friend, once again for your friendship and for the lovely gift. You'll see it come up on the channel. It's rising up to be one of my favorite pens. So thank you so much. It was very kind of you. And I'll never forget it. So thank you very much. So thank you all. I promise we will see each other again further up the road. So take care and thank you. Good night.